What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. I want to thank my sponsor, Steel Supplements. Link and discount code down in the description. You also know I'm a Weeble preferred influencer. Right now, one of the best promotions they have. All you have to do is open an account. You'll get free stocks. Deposit money, you'll get more free stocks. Last month, they had a free Apple promotion. I think I ended up with close to 19 shares of Apple. I know a lot of people on my channel did as well. So I wanted to initially point out, in the preview trailer, someone left a comment, "This is what makes or breaks me buying the game." And that could not be more true. You know, there was a time before Madden Ultimate Team where franchise was the make or break for someone buying Madden. And if they're going to respect John Madden's legacy this year, they needed to make a commitment to franchise. The challenge is, last year, they made that commitment as well. So this year, they focused a lot on players. One of the things they talked about was motivations, and I thought it was really interesting that they gave real-world examples, right? They talked about Jarvis Landry. They talked about how players need to go be with Tom Brady, need to go be with a Super Bowl contender, need to go be close to their home. But in reality, I don't need real-world examples, EA Sports. I follow football. I know all these things happen. What I need to see is them working in your game. And I thought that was rather interesting that they, rather than showed it working in the game, showed it actually just through real-life situations. Now, what's super interesting to me is the last couple years, Madden has kind of done this situation where they've went back and they've kind of degraded their own product. So here, they talk about Madden 22, and they actually show it. And they say signings were based on which team offered the most money to a player. But we were pretty much told through that deep dive last year that they were rebuilding free agency, and that wasn't going to be the case. So now we know that the problem with last year's game was free agency was broken to the point that whoever offered the most money was going to get the player. Now, this is Madden 22. They've been working on this game for quite a while. That's pretty basic coding to whichever player offers the most money is going to sign. But now they're saying, well, we fixed it. We've made it now where money remains a factor, but it's not the only factor, because we've put in all these motivations and player tags. Now, many of these motivations and player tags were actually in Madden before and had also been in head coach. So it's interesting that we know that they work, right? The theory of them does work. But to be fair, I find it very interesting that each year of the last 2 years, they've came out and degraded a prior Madden to help sell this one. Essentially saying last year it was broken when we sold it to you, and we know that, but this year we fixed it. So to move forward, those tags impact free agent logic, trade logic, draft logic, and player progression. I'm going to go through a couple of these. And again, I feel like these are needed in the game, right? We all know that team building has been a huge issue within Madden for probably more than a decade. Now, I'll get into specifics at the end, but these things need to be working in the game, right? Because every year we get these same bulletin points, right? I mean, literally, think about this. The last 3 or 4 years, they've been selling us free agent logic. They've been selling us trade logic. They've been selling us player progression since X Factors. And they've been telling us that by doing this, we're going to get enhanced realism, upgraded authenticity, which doesn't make sense. How can you upgrade authenticity? It's either authentic or it's not. And then overall improved experience. I just want you to understand that these 3 bulletin points don't actually say anything. So their goals aren't actually defined. This is like saying my goal to drive to the store is to go in miles per hour. It just doesn't make any. You have to have defined goals, right? You have to make actual changes for this to work. Now, in part, what they said they wanted to do is replicate the NFL. Of course, they're the only simulation football game on the market. And they, again, use some real-world examples with Jamar Chase. And they've said that now, when you go out into your franchise, teams are going to respect the player they draft and put them above veteran players so that they can start even if the rookie is a lower-rated player. Now, this is fine in and of itself, but what about a team that has a veteran receiver to mentor that younger receiver? Because one of the big things that this game lacks has been, that mentor has been Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison. They don't have the meaningfulness they do to a franchise because they don't have the same learning that they do with other players. Now, Madden fixes this by basically saying, we're going to have Tom Brady increase someone's desire to sign with them in free agency. But we're not going to have Tom Brady essentially be able to make those players better throughout their entire career. And again, when you talk about playing a game 15, 20 years, simulated seasons, that's something that matters. Now, they did say the free agency hub has been redone. As far as I'm concerned, this is just UI, and it's the same information just shown in a different way. But they do say in the beginning they've they've limited the number of offers you can have in these stages. And what I worry about is with the simplistic program this game is known for, does that ultimately mean that the AI won't have that same limitation? Because that's been something that EA has dealt with even with other games, where they'll limit the user, but they won't actually put those same caps in the AI. So will you actually have situations where an AI team signs more players than technically you could because they don't have the same limitations as you when you're playing? So just cliff note that and make sure that doesn't happen when we get the game. They go through the contract offers like I talked about before, player-friendly, team-friendly, neutral, very player-friendly, or custom. To be honest, I still think if it's not in the game, we need the ability to backload contracts. We need the ability to front-load contracts, and it looks like we just don't have that, at least based on what they showed us. This is something that NFL 2K5 did, right? And as I said, a good franchise experience will make gameplay not matter. If you have a deep enough franchise experience, go look at any football manager. People will play football managers with zero gameplay because of how well they replicate football. Madden right now isn't doing that at all. To move forward, they talk about a community request, which, again, I just want to take a moment for you to understand. A community request was that the rollover cap allows you to use it the following year. That is not a community request, EA. That's simulating football. Right? You can't say, well, the community wanted this. No, the NFL does that. You really don't have the option to leave that out. So the way they kind of masqueraded in this video, I thought was a little bit strange. I mean, they made it seem like they were doing things that we wanted when they were really doing things that should have been there in the first place and took several shots at their prior game. So the scouting updates, more scouts to choose from, additional position expertise, scout multiple positions at each stage, weighted attribute reveals, and more. Basically what they said is, listen, we'll reveal the player attributes for proper players first. So your quarterback is going to have his arm strength first or his throw power first, whatever the case may be. So you're not looking at his tackling when he's a quarterback. So I guess, again, that's a positive, but in the scheme of things, how simplistic is that logic, right? You have an NFL simulator, and you're telling me that the first scouting reveal is going to be the most important piece to the player's success. Again, they talk about being able to find these diamonds in the rough, guaranteed X factors. I feel like this is something that if EA could really finite their game, could lead to a lot of creators in the space coming in and having franchise experiences on YouTube. But the fact of the matter is the game is just so stale, and these players, number one, get known very quickly, and two, are few and far between. So while I appreciate they've been in the game years and years and years, I don't know that it's ever impacted me at all. And I want to close out with team building because, again, when we talk about simplistic logic, they go back to the Jacksonville Jaguars and they say they drafted Trevor Lawrence in 2021. It's their franchise quarterback, so they won't be looking for quarterbacks going forward. I urge you to understand, this is Madden 23, and they are selling you that they just got to the point where a team will understand that it just drafted a quarterback, so it won't draft anymore. If that doesn't tell you how broken this game has been, then I don't know what to tell you. But I guarantee you, they were never selling us a game this broken before, and it makes me wonder what they're selling us now. Appreciate you watching this video. I will be back in the week with more commentary.